Today, we're going to talk about a huge decision in the global patent process. Seriously, it's one that a lot of founders just kind of gloss over, but it can literally shape the entire future of your invention. So, you've got this incredible idea, right? And you're ready to protect it everywhere. You're probably thinking about the application, the legal claims, the technical drawings. But just hang on a second. Before you get too far down that road, there is one single choice you have to make right at the beginning that quietly ends up dictating your costs, your timeline, and, yeah, the actual strength of your patent. Okay, let's dive into this. We're talking about something called the Patent Cooperation Treaty, or the PCT. This is the system that lets you kick off the patent process in a whole bunch of countries all at once. And right at the start, you're introduced to two key players, the ISA and the IPEA. Now, the real beauty of the PCT system is that it buys you time, a lot of time. You're basically planting a flag, locking in your invention date, and giving yourself up to 30 months of breathing room before you have to start shelling out the big bucks to file in each individual country. It's a totally strategic pause. The very first entity you're going to meet is the International Searching Authority, or ISA. The best way to think of them is as your strategic scout. Their one and only job is to scour global patent databases for what's called prior art. That's just any existing invention or publication that's similar to your idea. And what you get back is a report that gives you a really clear early signal of how new your invention actually is. Okay, so after the ISA gives you their report, you get an option. You can engage what's called an International Preliminary Examining Authority, or IPEA. This is basically your second chance. They do a much deeper dive, they give you a real opinion on whether your idea is patentable, and, this is crucial, they let you tweak and strengthen your claims before you enter those super expensive national phases. Smart founders, they use this to fix any weaknesses early on. So what does the ISA actually do? Well, it's a pretty straightforward process. Once your application is in, they kick off their global search. They pull up any relevant prior art they can find, and then they issue their official search report and a written opinion. This document, right here, is the very first piece of real feedback you'll get on your invention's potential. Now that we know who the players are, let's get into the real strategy. See, your choice of which authority to use really boils down to a trade-off between three things, and we're going to start with the most obvious one, cost. You know, every ISA charges a different fee, and it is so tempting to just pick the cheapest one. But honestly, that can be a trap. That initial fee, it's just one piece of the puzzle. A cheap, low-quality search can lead to way higher costs down the road. We're talking more legal fees, fighting objections in every single country you file in. You get the picture. Investing a little more upfront for a high-quality, respected ISA can actually save you thousands later and help you build a much stronger, more credible asset for your company. All right, next up is our second pillar, speed. The time it takes to get that search report back isn't just about being patient, no. It's a critical part of your business strategy. And the difference in timelines here can be huge. Some ISAs can get a report back to you in just 2 to 3 months. Others can take 6 months, maybe even longer. And that 4-month cap? It might not sound like a lot, but in the life of a startup, that is an eternity. Why does it matter so much? Because early information is power. Simple as that. A faster report means you can make those critical go or no-go decisions sooner. It means you can walk into an investor meeting with an official report that backs up what you're saying. You can pivot your strategy or double down, all with confidence. Speed here isn't a luxury. It's a real competitive advantage. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important factor of all, quality. Because a quality search report isn't just about being accurate, it's about being effective. So a really high-quality report does 3 things perfectly. First, it finds the most relevant prior art out there. Second, it clearly explains how that art relates to your specific claims. And third, and this is so important, it's respected by the national patent offices where you're going to file later on. And that brings us to this kind of hidden factor, credibility. See, when a patent examiner in, say, the US or Europe or Japan sees a search report from an ISA they know and trust, they are far more likely to just accept its findings. And that can literally save you months of back and forth and thousands of dollars in fees, all because they don't feel like they need to redo the entire search from scratch. So here's the bottom line. There is no single best ISA. The right choice is always a strategic trade-off between cost, speed, and quality. And it depends completely on what your startup's immediate goals are. Let's just walk through a couple of common scenarios. First up, what if your number one top priority right now is raising your next round of funding? In that case, you have to prioritize quality and credibility above everything else. A strong, favorable report from a highly respected ISA isn't just paperwork, it's proof. It's a solid asset you can put right in front of investors during due diligence to show them your invention is defensible and that it stands out. Okay, but what if you're in a totally different situation? Maybe you're bootstrapping and your main goals are just to preserve cash while moving as fast as humanly possible. Here, the whole strategy flips. You'd want to prioritize an ISA that's known for being cost-effective and having a quick turnaround. The goal here isn't to get the world's most perfect report just yet. It's to secure your filing date, get that patent pending status, and get the feedback you need to keep moving forward without draining your bank account. Ultimately, thinking this way reframes the entire process. You have to remember, you aren't just going through the motions to get a patent filed. Every single choice you make is either building real, defensible, long-term value for your company, or it isn't. So I'll leave you with one final question to think about. When you look at your own IP strategy, is it actively building value for your business? Or is it just creating a big stack of expensive paperwork? The answer really starts with getting this very first decision right.